Have you ever stood up in front of an orchestra scared to death because you knew you had to show them, whether it was rehearsal or performance, the qualities that are essential to lead an orchestra?
Yeah, that happens especially in the beginning of your career, but for years. Actually, every time you have to conduct for the first time an important work, a Beethoven symphony, a Brahms symphony, and you know that orchestra in front of you has played this work with fantastic conductors, and you have to tell them new ideas. Yeah. That is difficult. It's not difficult to show if you are a good conductor and you know how to beat. That is not the problem. The problem is to have in front of you 100 musicians that certainly know that symphony much better than you, because you are trying for the first time to conduct that piece and they know by heart. But the irony is that they are sitting there waiting from you to tell them something new and interesting. And that sometimes is a nightmare. Of course, nobody is so stupid that goes in front of the orchestra with the idea to impress them, because there is no way to impress musicians. Musicians read you before you go on the podium. Just when you walk in the middle of the orchestra to get to the podium, they already realize, if they see you for the first time, if you are a good conductor or not. There is something that 100 musicians put together that they can create a mental energy that is impossible to...
So without thinking about it, you have to walk to that podium. And a great teacher has to do the same thing. A leader. You got to walk to that podium and say, I'm here because I want to be. I'm here because I deserve to be. I'm here because I want to...
This is already too much, because a conductor should not speak at all. I mean,
no, I don't mean you say it, but you think it. Or,
I think that
what you say or do...
I think that if you are a good musician, the first thing you are afraid of the music that you are going to conduct. I remember that I conducted the Beethoven Ninth Symphony for the first time with the Philadelphia Orchestra that knew that piece very well. Yeah. And I conducted the Ninth Symphony when I was already 40 years old. Today it's becoming very fashionable to conduct the Ninth Symphony. Young conductors, 25, 26, I belong to another generation. Not that the other generation was better. Maybe we were more shy, more timid. We thought more. And for us, was and is the Ninth Symphony, especially the slow movement, so high music. The music goes almost in a metaphysic zone of the universe that is out of our control. And when you think that you have to create this music that is much above your level, then if you think about this, it happens what happened to me. For weeks, I didn't sleep before the first rehearsal of the Ninth Symphony in Philadelphia. Because the beginning of the Ninth Symphony, for example, is like the universe that opens to you. It opens itself to you. It's like how do you do that? Yeah, of course, you can say together, more in the middle of the bow, more at the point, make a little vibrato, non-vibrato. But this sound that from nothing comes and goes to the public, and from nothing. Nothing means something full of many things that you don't control and you don't know. And you call nothing because you don't feel them and you don't see them. But in the moment this sound has come out, it's already too late.
What is the most satisfying thing about music for you?
For
a
me,
life in music.
A life in music?
Yeah. What is it about music that makes it a place for you to be, that's so satisfying about music?
I can answer in many different ways, but as interpreter, as performer, I have to answer, not as somebody that listens to music. So I listen to music mainly when I am producing the music, so it's already a very strange way of listening to the music. But the more satisfying moment, or very few moments, are very few in decades, are when you feel for just few moments, few minutes, or few seconds, that the entire hall, the musicians of the orchestra, the public, and you are one single thing, one single idea, one single heartbeat. That happens very seldom. But when that happens, you feel, you have not prepared it, you can't. Right. It happens in a moment that you feel that it's unanimity,
United.
Yes. It's unanimous, that there is one voice.
Right.
It's important, the public, because sometimes you feel that the orchestra is with the conductor, but the public is somewhere else, it's not with you. But when you feel that the public is closing this ring, then the ring is a symbol of magic. That is a moment where you feel that has been worth of your sacrifice or your efforts.
How about this moment, when you feel you are at one with the moment of discovery that led the composer to create the music, when you can actually feel like I am locked in with where he must have been when he wrote this, so that it so speaks to you and you almost as if you're there when it was created?
No, it's not so much that. It's that the feelings that you have created in the musicians have gone to the public that is feeling the same thing.
Right.
Maybe in that moment we are very distant from what the composer wanted. It's nothing to do. Generally, it's not the case. It's we are very close to what the composer wanted, because also the composer is part of this magic moment. But I wanted to say that in the moment that you realize that moment vanishes.
Yeah.
Because you become too rational.
Too rational.
Yeah, because you are thinking. For the first you have the emotion, and you breathe through this emotion. But immediately after, you are using
but
the intellect.
But you seem to be saying, and I'm a student here, you seem to be saying that twice, that you can think too much. You have to feel more. Is that?
Yeah, you have to think very much when you prepare a score for years, for months. And then you have to be able to make an analysis very deep. You must be an architect in front of the score. But making this analysis in the score, the interpretation comes little by little, but you don't know. It's not that you built an interpretation. You analyze the score, and you make an analysis of the harmony, of the counterpoint, of the orchestration, and so you put the score through the X-ray, and you see everything. But going deeper and deeper and deeper in the analysis, the interpretation comes in. And then, in front of the orchestra, you start to say your ideas, and after years and years and years, you maybe develop a good interpretation, And generally, when it's very good, then you start to be so sophisticated that you go back and you destroy what you have done.
There is no question that you get little argument that Shakespeare was the greatest playwright ever to live. Is there one person that's the greatest composer, or is music so different that no one is first among equals?
It's difficult to say, because you can't say that Tiziano was better than Caravaggio or Caravaggio better than Raffaello. But the composer that really spoke about mankind, people, in a divine way was Mozart.
Spoke about
us, you, me, people.
In a divine way.
In a divine way was Mozart. So he put together what is on the floor in what what is in heaven.
Even with your experience and the associations you have had, do you constantly discover new things, new ideas, new...
Always, always. Sometimes during the performance. Sometimes during the performance. After you have studied on a score for years, or you have done this score for many, many times, suddenly there is a musician or a situation and where a color, or a timbre, an accent, a note comes out in a different way, and for you is a discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
La Scala. Do those, because of its reputation, do the audiences at La Scala somehow expect more because of the richness of what they have seen and the tradition of that place?
See, about operas, because in La Scala we do operas, but we do also concerts.
Right.
But let's look at La Scala as opera house.
Right. That's what I meant.
The public is very difficult, but one part of the public that goes in the gallery up there. And this is a tradition that goes back to the last century and goes back to the 2 centuries ago, when composers of the 18th century were booed, or there was a tradition of whistle, or to throw piece of papers against the singers, or against the composer that actually was there. We had always, opera is so much part of our life, of our culture, of our body, that everybody in Italy, especially the people that go up there, they know how to conduct an opera, how the opera should be sung. It's like in a football team, you know, in Italy, when you Italian football, European football, every Italian knows better than the referee, you know.
Yes, of course.
And they know.
You're not limited to Italians.
I see.
Yes.
But in opera, in La Scala, yes. So
they know better.
They know better, and you have to.
The world's greatest critics.
Yeah, you have to. It's very, very electrifying, but also very dangerous, because as soon a singer makes a note that is not right, or something that they don't like, immediately they react, sometimes in a very wild way. So it's not a very safe place sometimes.
Yeah. Tell me about the career of a conductor, whether it is opera or symphonic music. Where do you go from where you are? I mean, you went from Philadelphia to Vienna.
No, I started in Florence.
Started in Florence.
Maggio Musicale, Fiorentina,
Yeah.
one of the most important festivals in Italy. Then I went to London.
Yes.
And then Philadelphia.
And then
La Scala.
And then La Scala.
Yeah. And there was one moment in the 1981, I was in the same time music director in Florence, in London, and in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And so I had to...
Was that too much?
Of course.
Yeah.
Because music director should really take care of his own musicians. And you can't do that if you have too many children.
When you, so there's no, if ambition burned in your heart.
Now, my ambition today, now, is to make the orchestra in La Scala one of the great orchestras in Europe.
In Europe?
In the world. And in this, I've been there 13 years.
Yeah.
And now the orchestra is really in a wonderful form. And they had a tremendous success last year in Vienna, in Lucerne Festival. We are going back to Vienna next month.
Yeah.
For the first time, they will go to Salzburg. It will be the first Italian orchestra to participate to the Salzburg Festival as a symphonic orchestra. And I intend to continue for other years, several years, and to enlarge the repertoire in La Scala, not only as a theater of the Italian music, Bellini, Donizetti, Rossini, Verdi, and Puccini, but also Wagner, Mozart, Gluck.
There are two CDs I want to just recommend. I have one is Puccini. There you are in more casual clothes.
Yeah, that picture has created some people liked very much. Others found the record good, but the picture horrible because it's too casual.
Yeah, just close. This is Beethoven, the complete symphonies with the Philadelphia Orchestra. Would Beethoven be in second place, or Bach in second place for you, or someone else?
After Mozart?
Yeah, after Mozart.
You mentioned too that it's, if we say second place, it's
I know, I understand.
But we need both,
Bach
and Beethoven.
Yeah.
Beethoven is a great lesson for all of us, because even if he had a tragic life, as all know, he became deaf, he was lonely, he was ill, and he was able to write music with great sense of gratitude to God, not God, Christian or Jew or Muslim, or God, the universe. He was always grateful, and in his music, from his first sonata, his first symphony, his first quartetto, always you find a moment when you can feel that he's saying thank you to the Creator.
Yeah, to a greater power.
Yeah.
Riccardo Muti will be conducting the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra at Carnegie Hall, March 10th. That's all Mozart. March 11th is?
Schumann, Shostakovich, and March 12th, Schubert, Tchaikovsky.
Thank you for coming.
Grazie.
Pleasure. We'll be right back. Stay with us.